There's not a lot of big words in there. That was rude. Hello everyone, my name is Jordan and welcome back to Jordy is Reading. Today's video is going to be a recap of what I read in August. And I got this cute little reading log, and we're gonna kind of start using that as our guide for these recap videos, because it's got some cute little tidbits in here, like quotes that I can write down that I liked. Normally I just use a notebook, but I didn't think about quotes or anything like that. So we're going to use this as a guide. It's got like a plot rating, a character's rating, an ease of read rating, which I think will be very helpful. And like I said, quotes, and then my review in the middle, all that good stuff. So let's start with the first book I read in August, which was actually a trilogy. I think they're called the Starbound trilogy. I'm not sure, but the title is These Broken Stars, and it's by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner, I think, helped. Amy Kaufman. It's sort of like a science-y fiction, fantasy, romance kind of thing going on, but each book focuses on like a different duo or whatever. So These Broken Stars follows a soldier named Tarver Marinson. How do I describe her? A heiress to the throne, kind of. Lilac LaRue. Lilac's father has pretty much invented or designed all of the ships they use. Also, did I mention that this is in space? This is based in space. Lilac's father makes or designs all of the ships that they use for their space travel. So they're very, very well off, very rich. It's called LaRue Industries, and that's important throughout the entire series. But it follows Tarver and Lilac. They actually meet in a bar on a ship. Something happens. I can't really remember what goes down, but their spaceship, ends up crashing. And Tarver and Lilac are the only ones to get to like an escape pod and actually escape. And they crash land on this planet. And so these planets, Lilac's father is kind of terraforming them for human life or whatever. He's making them better so that they can build colonies on these planets. So this planet they crash land on is kind of in the middle of being terraformed. So they're thinking, okay, all we have to do is find these people that are on this planet and we can escape. That doesn't happen at all. Lilac starts hearing these crazy voices. They start seeing things. This weird lion, tiger, bear thing attacks them. The plot is not that great, okay? But the characters are really cute. Yeah, it's enemies to lovers. Okay, trope. I'll just let you know that. It's not really an enemies to lovers though, because Lilac is trying to protect everyone around her. She doesn't want anyone to get too close because she's had past experiences where people have gotten too close to her and her dad has offed them or whatever. So she doesn't want anyone to be close to her. She doesn't want that. She doesn't want to feel the blame for that again, pretty much. But, oh well. A lot of things happen. A lot of things happen specifically to Lilac. She's kind of like a conduit in all of these books, everyone thinks, like in the outside world, not including Tarver and Lilac, everyone thinks that Lilac is this spoiled, rotten brat. She is extremely smart. She has learned to like hotwire things, and she knows a lot about her dad's industry, so she can help in a lot of ways. So it jumps between Tarver's and Lilac's point of view, but there's also this super small chapters in between that is someone interrogating Tarver. Throughout the entire book, no one ever asks Lilac questions or anything like that. It's always the person interrogating Tarver. So you're led to believe that Tarver is the only one who escaped, that he's actually been arrested or some crazy crap like that throughout the entire book. But yeah, I mean, it was cute. It read a little bit younger for me, but that was okay. I didn't really care. So the one quote that I did like from this book that I remembered, I didn't remember any of the other ones, is untouchable, toxic. I should have been named Ivy or Foxglove or Belladonna. And that was by Lilac LaRue. The plot rating for me was about a 3 to 4 out of 5. It wasn't horrible, but like I said, it read younger, so it was kind of an easier plot to move along with. There wasn't any twists and turns. Well, there were, but not like major that I didn't see coming, if that makes sense. The characters were a 3 for me. I did not fall in love with any of them. I really didn't care what happened. But then again, I'm not a character-driven book reader, so I don't care about the characters. The ease of reading was a 5. Like I said, it read very young, so it was very easy to read. Overall, this book was good. I liked it. That was These Broken Stars by Amy Kaufman. The next book in the trilogy is This Shattered World by Amy Kaufman. This does not follow. I was under the impression that all of these books would follow Tarver and Lilac. They do not. This Shattered World follows Jubilee Chase, who is a soldier. She's like top tier, like captain level soldier. She's on the planet Avon. And she was sent there to crush the rebellion or whatever, because the people who lived on Avon want to be able to be educated. They want to be, they want to have like, you know, schools and stuff like that. They can't do that anymore, apparently. So Jubilee Chase is sent there to kind of crush this rebellion that they have started. And it follows Flynn. Flynn is the leader of the rebellion. Who saw that coming, right? You all did. At one point, the beginning of this book, there's this thing on the planet called the Fury, and it affects the soldiers really bad. Like, normally most of them can't stay there more than a couple months to a year. They literally just go crazy and start killing people. Jubilee Chase is the only, she goes by Lee. Lee is the only person who has been able to stay on Avon for years, and the Fury has never affected her. The reason she says this is because she can't dream. The Fury starts out as these crazy dreams. She cannot dream, so she is not affected by the Fury, apparently. Flynn is determined to make this rebellion work in a peaceful way. He doesn't want to hurt anyone. So he kidnaps Jubilee. And he kidnaps Jubilee because he thinks Jubilee, you know, she's high on the tier list, that she's going to know why they're terraforming and why their advancement in technology has stopped, why they can't do that anymore. So he kind of takes her back to this place. He doesn't want his followers to know that he has Jubilee, because his followers are not anti-harming people. They're very much, hey, let's kill this captain lady. So he tries to hide her. She is eventually found, and so Lee and Flynn are kind of in this place where, okay, either we both die or we both escape. They both escape. There's a lot more action in this book than there was in the first book, only because you're on a planet with a lot of people. And in the first book, it was only Lilac and Tarver. So there's a lot more going on, a lot more happening, a lot more friendships happening, stuff like that. Tarver and Lilac are not mentioned until the very end of this book when they're trying to figure a lot of stuff out. Like I said, Lilac's dad is in charge of all the terraforming. So some shady stuff's happening, okay? Shady stuff. My favorite quote from this book was, "We're inches apart, yet worlds away." And I'm pretty sure that was Lee who said that, Jubilee Chase. The plot of this book was a 4. I liked this book. It didn't read as young as the first book did, which was great. I liked that a lot. The characters were about a 4 too. The only person I really liked was Jubilee. Flynn I could care less for. Everyone else I could literally care less. But like I said, the characters were a 4. The ease of reading again was a 5. It's a simpler book, and I don't think it's very thick. I don't remember, but it's not very thick, so it's super easy. This Shattered World, which is book 2 of the Starbound trilogy. Book 3 of the Starbound trilogy is called Their Fractured Light. So this follows a girl named Sophia and a boy named, well, you don't really know his name until a little bit into the book, but his name is Gideon. Sophia is actually from the planet Avon, where Jubilee Chase and Flynn are originally from. So once everything happens in book 2, Sophia is sent off to another planet, pretty much. She's a con artist also. That's great. She's very good at reading people and manipulating them to do what she wants, pretty much. She blames LaRue Industries for everything that has happened to her in her life. So she is on a mission for vengeance, pretty much. So she goes to the planet Corinth. She goes to Corinth because she wants to take down LaRue from the inside, pretty much. And LaRue's Industries is based on Corinth, so she goes there because she wants to destroy it. Sophia, is a whiny brat child. I hated her so much. Yeah, she sucked. I didn't like her at all. Then there's Gideon. Gideon is like this hacker guy, like top tier hacker who lives on Corinth. He has some relationship with Lilac. You don't really understand what it is until sort of the end of the book. Gideon is also hiding a lot from everyone. My battery's dying. Hold on. Okay. So like I was saying, Gideon is this top tier hacker. They meet while they're both at LaRue Industries. Sophia is there to meet an informant. We don't really understand why Gideon is there until the end of the book. Or middle-ish end, but he's there and stuff happens. Things go crazy. Remember how in the first book I said that Lilac was hearing whispers? We figure out what those whispers are in the first book, and they travel out through the series. In the third book, we really see the whispers up close and what they are and how they work. They both have different motives, but they both kind of come together to work to take down LaRue. I don't know. It's whatever. At the very end of this book, you get to see Jubilee Chase, you get to see Flynn, you get to see Tarver, and you get to see Lilac all again. Once they all come together, shit hits the fan. I can't tell you any of it. It was really easy to read. Yeah, I mean, it was just okay. But the ending was kind of cute, I guess. I was expecting this to be more involved with Tarver and Lilac. The entire series to be more involved with Tarver and Lilac and just have the little sprinkles of characters here and there. But they're all set on different characters, and I'm not really a fan of that. I don't know. It just didn't hold my attention as much as I thought it should. But the plot rating was a 4. Not bad, not great. Characters were a 3. I hated Sophia. Gideon was okay, but I hated Sophia. The ease of reading, it was a 5 again. It was kind of younger. It read younger to me. So ease of reading was a 5. There's not a lot of big words in there. That was rude. Overall, this trilogy, it's not my favorite thing that I've read. I won't read it again. That was the Starbound trilogy. These Broken Stars, This Shattered World, and Their Fractured Light. All by Amy Kaufman, and I don't know if it's Megan Spooner or not. I don't know who else wrote it. Anyway, moving on. I read A Court of Thorns and Roses. Apparently I have read this book before, because according to my Goodreads I read it. I didn't remember anything. Nothing. A Court of Thorns and Roses is a fantasy romance series. I say series because it's written by Sarah J. Maas. And if you know Sarah J. Maas, she wrote Throne of Glass, and there's like 12 books in that series. I don't know if A Court of Thorns and Roses is finished. I know okay. I've read A Court of Thorns and Roses. I read A Court of Mist and Fury, and then I read A Court of Wing and Ruin. I also have A Court of whatever, Frost and Starlight or whatever. That's like the novella. But I don't know if this is going to end with A Court of Silver Flames, because A Court of Silver Flames follows Cassian and Nesta mostly, I believe, and not Feyre. But anyway, I digress. I read A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. So this follows a human named Feyre. Feyre lives in a town with her dad and her 2 sisters, Nesta and Elaine, and they are very poor. Feyre is the youngest of them. So she's like, okay, if we're going to survive, I'm going to need to learn to hunt. So she learns to hunt. And one day she is in the woods, she's hunting, and she comes across this deer. She's like, heck yeah, dude, we're going to eat. When all of a sudden she notices these huge eyes staring at her. Not at her, at the deer. Then this wolf comes out of the woods, right? So there is a wall. They know fairies exist, okay? Or fae, or whatever you want to call them. There's this huge wall that is supposed to keep the humans on their side and the fae on their side. There's also this treaty in place. She is very close to this wall right now, so she's kind of on edge to begin with, but she sees the deer. She's like, hey, yo, we just ate our last piece of bread, like, yesterday. So I need this deer. I need it. Or we're gonna die. It's winter. Like, we're gonna die. So anyway, big wolf, like, huge, like, she's like, oh my god, that's a fairy kind of wolf. But she's like, I've got to do something. So spoiler alert, she shoots it, like, right in the eyeball or something like that. But she also shoots the deer too. She's like, okay, it's dead. If it were fae, it would have turned back to its human form or its fairy form or whatever. It wouldn't just be a wolf there. It doesn't ever turn, so she's like, okay, that was just a really big freaking wolf. So she takes the deer and she takes the wolf. Or the wolf pelt. She can't carry both. So she sells the wolf pelt. They've got deer meat for days, whatever. Then, that night, or like a night or two later, there's this huge roaring sound. Someone busts down their cabin door, okay? And this huge, like, horned, like, he's got like a face of a, was it a bear or a tiger? I don't know. But this big, huge monster come in, and she's like, and then he's like,
hey, yo, who killed the fairy?
And Farrah's just like,
you know, I did, that was me, leave everybody else alone, whatever.
So he's like, okay, a life for a life. And she's thinking, I'm gonna die. And he's like, yeah, you're coming back with me over the wall to Prithian. Prithian is what they call where the fae live, or whatever. Let's go, home slice. Once they get there, this monster beast thing transforms back into a dude. His name is Tamlin, and he is apparently High Lord of the Spring Court. And so he's like, yo, you gotta live here for like the rest of your life. You gotta live here. And she's like, I know. I need to go home because my family is dying because I'm the only one who knows how to do anything. He's like, yo, I took care of your family. Like, you're staying here. You can't go. You killed one of my dudes. Like, so she is fighting him like every step of the way. You learn about a blight. They call it a blight. That has all of the Spring Court kind of under this crazy thing. They all have to wear masks, like masquerade masks. And eventually, Farah is set on helping and discovering, hey, yo, what is the blight? What can I do to help? Stuff like that. Eventually, they fall in love, I guess. There's this place called Under the Mountain. And then there's this thing called Calanmai, which is this weird High Lord Spring Court thing. And Farah meets Farah meets bad people, but she also meets a random guy, and the random guy saves her. Then there's this character named Lucian who becomes like best friends with Farah, and their banter back and forth is literally what keeps this book going. That's the only thing. Lucian is amazing. There's one day where they're all in the middle of eating lunch or some crap like that. And then Tamlin just goes,
Hide Farah!
And Lucian, like, pushes her up against the wall and, like, glamours to where you can't see her. And then who walks in but the mysterious dude that saves her? We find out that his name is Rhysand, and he is the High Lord of the Night Court. But we also find out that he works for someone horrible right now. So you come to find out that this is a lot of spoilers. You come to find out that there is this woman named Amarantha, and she has put a curse on literally everyone for the past 50 years. Tamlin is eventually kidnapped and taken under the mountain or some crap like that. I don't know. And Farah's like, I gotta go save him. So she goes under the mountain. She's still human. I'm like, she can die. But she's like, I gotta go save him. Oh my God. So she goes under the mountain and meets Amarantha. Amarantha is not nice. She's like, okay, I will lift this curse, which, by the way, I'm not going to tell you that. I'm not going to tell you how Farah could have lifted the curse before she even went under the mountain. You'll find that out on your own. Read the book. Amarantha's like, okay, I'll lift this curse, but you've got to do 3 tasks for me. Or you can just solve a riddle. I can't remember what the riddle is, but Farah's an idiot and doesn't know riddles. Farah also can't read, by the way. And through the book, Tamlin is kind of trying to teach her how to read. He's not doing a very good job at it. But she doesn't learn, obviously. Can't read. That's important. So the first task is like facing this giant worm. So the second task, she has to read a sentence. Farah can't read. That one's real rough. In the middle of this, she makes a deal with Rhysand. Like, the worm really screwed her up. And Rhys comes to visit her in her little prison cell down there. And he's like,
Yeah, I can fix that, but you have to make a bargain with me.
and the bargain is 1 week out of every month, she has to go to his court. Rhys hasn't been able to go back to his court in 50 years since Amarantha kind of took over. So he's like, hey, yo, I expect you to live because, I want to go home or whatever. And she's like, yeah, fine, just heal me. When you make a bargain with someone like that, it shows up as a tattoo. So she's got she's got a sleeve now with an eyeball here at the end of her palm. And she goes to pull one of these levers and it burns. She's like, okay, that out. She goes to try to pull it again, still burning. So she moves on to the next one, it's not burning. She's like, okay. Then she moves on to number 3, burns again. She's like, okay, I'm going to pull the one that's not hurting me. And apparently that was the right answer. Well, where did that come from? Anyway, the third task, she has to kill 3 fairy. Amarantha loses her crap, and a lot of stuff happens. Anyway, they all escape. Tamlin, Feyre, back to the Spring Court, right? Amarantha, she's no more. That's kind of where you end that book, is them back in the Spring Court and everything is fine. It was okay. I liked it. But I like Sarah J. Maas. A lot of people don't like Sarah J. Maas and the way she writes her books. But I like Sarah J. Maas. The plot for me was a 5. The characters were a 4. Lucian was my top-notch favorite character. Loved Lucian. The ease of reading was about a 4. It wasn't anything crazy, but I mean, it read adult. New adult, if that makes sense. My favorite quote is, "Be glad of your human heart, Feyre. Pity those who don't feel anything at all." And then, of course, I had to write down, "Feyre, darling." But yeah, no, that was A Court of Thorns and Roses. Obviously, I really liked this book, or I wouldn't continue with the series. So, A Court of Mist and Fury. Literally my favorite book out of these 3 books that I've read. All of my ratings for this book are 5s. The plot was a 5 for some reason. I don't know why, because Sarah J. Maas and her plots are kind of weird. But the characters were a 5. I loved all the characters. And then the ease of reading was a 5. So this starts out, Feyre and Tamlin are in the Spring Court. A lot of crap is going down between Feyre and Tamlin. Like, they're getting married, obviously. But he is very overprotective of her, and she just feels trapped. She's having all these nightmares, whatever. It's the day of their wedding, and Feyre's like freaking out. She's like, "Oh my God, somebody come help me," whatever. Tamlin is at the very front. She's walking down the aisle. She can't, ever since Amarantha, she can't do the color red. So she looks down and there's red rose petals, and she freaks the flip out. Anyway, Tamlin makes a step towards her. She takes a step back, and everybody's like, "Oh." So she's, in her mind, she's like, "Oh my God, somebody help me," blah, 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 blah. So who shows up? Rhysand. Rhys is like,
You asked for help, like, hello.
this tattoo is apparently a bond between Feyre and Rhys. So he's like, "Hey y'all, I'm calling in that bargain, remember?" So she has to go spend a week with Rhys. So he takes her to the Night Court or whatever. It's like on the top of this mountain. It's like winter or some crap. I don't know. And she's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah, you can do whatever you want to. Like, I don't care. Just whatever." He remembers that she can't read. He's like, "I'm gonna help you read." She's like, "No, you're not." He's like, yeah, we're gonna do it. She's like, "No, I absolutely refuse." I refuse that. She's like, "I just want to go back. Just let me go back." He's like, "Yeah, no, you gotta stay here for a week." So they stay there for a week. Nothing crazy happens. There's this one day where she's back at the Spring Court where she wants to go with Tamlin and Lucian to do some kind of war or something. Because apparently there's this King of Highburn that we need to fight now. She wants to go, and Tamlin's like, "No, you're not gonna go." Feyre also has this issue with enclosed spaces. She needs to know where all of the exits are at all times, and she needs to be able to get through those exits. Yeah, when Tamlin says no, he puts up a wall around the entire house, like to the point where she can't even stick her hand out the window. She has a full-on panic attack. Crazy is happening, okay? Rhys doesn't come to save her, but one of Rhys's inner circle comes to save her. Her name is Moore. And they're like, "Yeah, no, you're coming back with us. You're not staying here anymore." So Feyre goes back to the Night Court. Once she's feeling better or whatever after her panic attack, Rhys is like, "Hey, do you want to go back?" And she's like, "No. Like, that was torture. I don't want to go back. I want to be able to do what I want to do, but I don't want you to teach me to do anything," pretty much. Anyway, this follows Feyre's and Rhys's and the inner circle's kind of happening. The ending of this book is a little crazy. The King of Hybern has this thing called a cauldron. And apparently the mortal queens have this book. 2 pieces of this book. The King of Hybern uses the cauldron. Somehow, it's... plot, meh. Eventually, Farrah's like, hey, we need to, destroy this cauldron. And, yeah, her sisters get kidnapped by the king. Stuff happens to them. Yeah, it pretty much ends up with Farrah going back to the spring court and pretending like everything at the night court was just Rhys and his manipulation or whatever, because Rhys has the ability to like get into other people's minds and like twist information or like kill them outright. And so Farrah plays it off like, oh my god, you saved me. Rhys like mind befuzzled me or whatever. And so she's gonna be the spy in the spring court now. That's fun. But yeah, other than that, I can't tell you anything because there's major spoilers and I've already spoiled the first one. So it just takes off where the first one left off and it continues from there. My favorite quote from this book was, "The issue isn't whether he loved you, it's how much. Too much. Love can be a poison." And I believe Rhys said that, or maybe Moore said that. I can't remember. But I also wrote down Farrah Darling because that's just cute. Okay, third book. A Court of Wings and Ruin. Still follows Farrah. It now involves her sisters, all of the inner circle. I can't tell you anything or it's gonna spoil everything. But they're just, they're fighting the King of Hybern, pretty much. And there's a lot of death in this book. There's a lot of war in this book. Oh my gosh. Things happen in this book that I cried about. The last few chapters of this book, you guys, I'm a sucker for death and war and stuff like that, so it was rough. Reading the last few chapters of this book was rough, okay? But yeah, I mean, it pretty much follows them as they try to fight the King of Hybern. And it follows Farrah and her sisters figuring out themselves, if that makes sense. The plot for me in this one was a 4. It just didn't hit as hard as the second one did for some reason. Characters 5, loved them, except for some of them. The ease of reading was about a 4 again. It was fine, whatever. But my favorite quote from this book was, "It's a rare person to face who they are and not run from it, not be broken by it." And Farrah said that, I believe. Also, only you can decide what breaks you, curse breaker, only you. And that's what they call Farrah. Farrah is, she's curse breaker now. So, yeah. But anyway, this book takes place after A Court of Mist and Fury. It all kind of goes together. Like I said, I am going to read A Court of Silver Flames. I might do like an in-depth, no I won't. I don't know. I might do like an in-depth, like spoiler edition of this series after I read that book, but I don't know. These books are long. Like, A Court of Wings and Ruin has 699 pages. A Court of Mist and Fury has 624. A Court of Thorns and Roses has 419. So, I don't know about all that. But, if you like high fantasy, romance, if you enjoy Sarah J. Maas and you haven't read A Court of Thorns and Roses, like, I don't know what to tell you. But, I don't know why it took me so long to read these books. Those were my 6 books for the month of August. I have started my college classes. If you don't follow me on Instagram, I will link that down below. That's where you're going to get updates in regards to videos. I have started my college classes, so things might be a little bit wonky to start off with. I'm only in like week 3 right now. 4? I don't know. But follow me on Instagram to keep up with all the updates. I've started Daughter of Shadow and Bone. What is that called? I don't know. I don't even have my phone. But I've started that. I don't know. I'm almost finished with it, so I don't know if I'm going to continue the series or whatever. But also, I bought a Princess Diana book the other day. I'm obsessed with Princess Diana and her death and stuff like that. So, that's really morbid. I'm sorry, whatever. But yeah, other than that, I don't have a specific TBR to read. I also want to do, I get a lot of Book of the Month books that I haven't read yet. Like, I haven't read any of them. So I'm thinking 1 month I will strictly do my Book of the Month books and read those. But I don't know. We'll see. If you liked this video and you like to hear me ramble, please give it a thumbs up. Like it. Be sure to subscribe while you're there. It really helps me out a lot. But yeah, that was the August wrap up. Very long-winded. I'm very sorry. But I don't know what the next video is going to be. I haven't filmed it yet. It all depends on what happens. But yeah, I will see you guys in the next video.